What's going on, people? It's Mr. Door back again with what can I call this podcast? More a refreshing, chilled out podcast. We're in the Premier League, baby. As you can see the t-shirt, we are Premier League, baby. I can't believe I can relax. Me and Malcolm's got the drinks in. Jay's got his fruit shoot. People, I'm still excited. We're still in the Premier League. We've got a guest in. We've got a special guest coming in soon. But first of all, let's introduce the panel. First, we've got Jay. How you doing, Jay?
As we said in the pre-chat, I'm a lot better now. We're all having a party. Me and Malcolm are going golfing, aren't we, on Sunday, Mal?
We are, mate.
That's the plan now.
We're going to drop this lot off at Sellers Park and we're just going to have 9 holes.
We haven't got anything to play for, have we? Other than apparently 3 million quid or something like that? I don't care. We're Premier League.
People share love to Jay. Next door, we've got the man himself, Mark. How you doing, Malcolm?
I'm all right, Ben. Thanks for tagging me because I've completely forgotten about this again. I'm loving it because I'm getting my schedule through Twitter now. It came up. I got a notification about 4 o'clock. I'm like, oh yeah.
I've got to say, people show some love to Malcolm, but we've got a special guest. I thought we were giving the special intro. He thinks he's a big bollocks now because now his legend brother is legend at Nottingham Forest. If people remember the Luton away game, this is his fault. This is this guy's fault. So Luton away, if people know, a guy came up to me with his nephew, normal, and was talking. And then I'm doing his prediction, and I said to him, "What do you think of Steve Cooper? I'm his brother."
It says we all love him.
We all love him. I'm like, wow. And he's here today. The man himself, Neil Cooper, the brother of Steve Cooper, is on the stream. So if anyone wants to ask him questions, some nice questions, please do. Me and Malcolm and Jay will ask him a question as well about how he's feeling about being the brother of a legend of Nottingham Forest. So people in the chat, please show some love to Neil. How do, Neil? Hello. Can you hear me, Neil? Neil. I can't hear you. Neil, I can't hear you.
This is
there a
like
take two?
This is like our Premier League season off the dodgy start.
Do you have one of the things that you like click to stop it? Right, let's retake. Do that intro again.
Let's get the intro again. Let's get the intro.
Okay.
Malcolm, someone said they can't hear you. Who's echoing? Someone's echoing. Is Malcolm echoing? Yeah, Malcolm, you're echoing.
I'm not echoing.
Is it me? Who's echoing?
Not me.
Is it me? People in the comments, who's echoing? Someone's echoing. Hello?
It's somebody who's got a microphone.
Is it you? Is it you? Neil? He's still got he's still got here. Neil.
Yeah.
You know what? Because he must be using Steve's Wi-Fi.
Steve Brown's, yeah.
It's this Welsh people. Steve, have you gave Neil your Wi-Fi because he's having a shocker? Oh, what's your technique?
This could only happen to you, Dor.
Someone's echoing. Can you hear echo, Jay?
I can hear it.
Mark, can you hear echo?
No, I can't hear it.
It's definitely not me. Is it me? People in the comments. Can you hear echo?
I'll mute myself, look.
Hello. Malcolm, mute yourself.
Right, is this any better?
Hello. Hello. It's Malcolm! I told you it's Malcolm!
What kind of episode of Scooby-Doo is this? This is like...
People see. Hello.
How can it be me?
It's you.
How about you mute yourself, Dor, and me and Malk talk?
Yeah.
Right.
Is that any better, Jay?
Sounds a little bit better, doesn't it?
Wow.
Or something still... Yeah.
It's because there's no furniture down here in Dawes' basement.
Oh,
Nothing
hello. People comments, right? Before all the technically issues, before we get Neil back on. Gary, don't you start. Why is Gary always on my neck? But listen, man, I'm trying to be nice, but because we're safe in the Premier League. But Jay, before we get Neil back on, how are you feeling about staying in the Premier League?
I'm feeling just as good as you can do, to be honest, because it's just the best feeling after everything we've been through this year. Obviously, all the away days, that one at Leicester, that drive home after Leicester, thinking, God, this is it. You know what I mean? And the backing that Steve Cooper got from the owner, and then the togetherness that we formed after that was brilliant. That little run before the World Cup, amazing. And it's been difficult at times, but we've come back, and I think that's testament to the kind of team that we've become. A team that comes back and a team that never gives up, a team that's persistent and determined. And yeah, I've just loved it. I think all the lows that we've had this season have just been worth it for this ultimate high. And I think the mentality that the team has had in the last few weeks, since that Liverpool game, that was the game that we turned it around, has just been phenomenal. So, yeah, brilliant.
Neil, can you hear us?
Yeah.
Hey!
Do you remember we ended the last show with my technical ability a year ago? And then we come back on with this. I didn't know any of the intro. I didn't know what you said.
Oh, my God.
That was his best intro as well, Neil, ever. That was his best intro.
Well, I do listen to him all the time. I don't want to make his head swell, but I do listen to the show all the time. I've listened to you guys a lot.
This is a Malcolm, it's your echoing, Malcolm.
What do you want me to do?
Go on to settings.
Malcolm out.
Go on to settings.
Yeah.
Go on to audio.
Yeah.
Can you see echo cancellation?
Yeah.
Yeah, take it off and then put it back on.
Neil, this show is also an IT lesson as well. That is better, isn't it?
Nobody needs that more than me.
So much better. See? I am bright, people. It's people in the comments think I'm deluded. People in the chat, show some love to Neil, Steve Cooper's brother. Neil, let's talk about me, Malcolm and Jay are going to ask Neil some questions about Forest and everything. But I know he's Steve Cooper's brother. But as Steve, as he is your brother, how is he feeling of being a Premier League manager next season?
I would say there's an element of relief. I think that everybody is probably feeling as well now at the moment, given the way in which we've managed to do it. But I think there's just this incredible sense of achievement of doing it together. Really, I was saying to you before we started the show, Ben. He never says anything for effect, Steve. He's always very straight. I think it's one of probably his greatest attributes, really. So when he says that, we've done this together and it's for the fans and with the backroom staff and all that, because he really means it. So I honestly think there is a huge sense of achievement that he's feeling personally, professionally, and across the board for everybody who's given everything they have done over the last 37 games in the first Premier League season under extraordinary circumstances. I mean, I think he mentioned the first time in an interview after the game, he mentioned about the injuries that we've had, second highest rate this year, in amongst bringing that number of players in the first season in over 20 odd years. I don't think it's never been done before, has it? And we all had to dig deep and put up with some tough times. And yeah, so the quick answer to your question is a huge sense of achievement, an element of relief. But I promise you now, right? He will have had a couple of beers Saturday night. I know that because he will have celebrated the fact that we're in the Premier League.
Neil,
and then the attention will have turned.
I don't drink. I had a couple. As well, but I'm not saying how much.
He's never ever used the word survival. He's only ever used the words what success looks like. And he'll have his eye on jumping up another place in the Premier League to finish off on next week. We won't be on the beach next Saturday, but Sunday. I promise you that. there'll be an opportunity to catch Bournemouth. There's an opportunity to finish a couple of points away from whoever's going to be 14th, 13th, and that. But he'll want in history to say, that he managed to get another place up the Premier League as well, and because he owes that to everybody at the club for all the work they put in.
100%. Jay, any questions?
I mean, just first of all, like, how proud are you? Because he's, obviously come so far in such a small amount of time from being the under-17s manager for England, which is still a huge vacancy for any, coach, to going from Championship management and then to Premier League management. I mean, for a manager of his age, is just a huge jump in such a small amount of time, and then to achieve Premier League status once again, you just must be so proud. I mean, that's an incredible achievement, right?
Absolutely, you said it. It's incredible. It's going to sound really, not that I'm boasting or trying to be big-headed about this. I'm not surprised. I mean, he just has a track record of winning football matches, and even in his days at England under-17s, you just mentioned, Jay, there. He joined at a time when he had a fantastic squad of players. Don't get me wrong, the Fodens and the Sanchos and the Gibbs Whites and the Callum Hudson-Odois and all that kind of stuff. And the Marquis, he had a cracking squad. But he's still got to go on and do it. And what he managed to do in his first year was get the European Cup final and lose against Spain. And he learns from that. So he comes back the following year and takes it another step and wins the World Cup final against Spain. And then he goes to Swansea and wins, a stack full of games, gets as far as the playoffs, but can't quite get to the final. So he learns from that and then comes back the following year and gets to the final. Loses the final, goes away from there, joins this incredible football club, goes on the maziest run any of us have ever seen in the Championship, goes one step further again. So that's what I mean by the fact I'm never surprised by what he does. So this was his biggest challenge yet. It was always going to be his biggest challenge yet. But I just felt the fact that, and I think the World Cup break helped as well, to really learn the process, learn the league, try and find his best team. And all that. I always felt that he would he would learn from the poor experience as well. I think he said in his last interview he was going to lose some games, but he'd try and be better after each loss. And nobody expected to go to the wire here and that kind of stuff. But I think we'd have all accepted 17th. But now where we are, I'm not surprised. I'm just really looking forward to what happens next year, because he'll learn again next year. 100%. And I think, what is it, 9 wins, 10 draws now. Hopefully it's 10 wins, 10 draws by the time we get out the back end of this season. What does 15 wins and 10 draws look like next year? Where does that put us league table wise? Does that cement us as a Premier League team moving forward? And then, dare I say it, do we start thinking about, getting this club back onto the European map again? That's got to be over that.
My heart can't take that kind of
I
stress
can't
yet.
take that, Neil. You can't put me. You trying to give me a heart attack or what?
Yeah, but Ben, if I'd said to you at Huddersfield, when we hadn't met at that point, back at the beginning of the Championship, when he'd signed his contract and really did that incredible job for that first game at Huddersfield, if I'd said to you then, playoff final Wembley, you'd have said, "Oh, forget that. We're not going there."
Neil, I was thinking League One football. I'm not going to lie. I think with all Forest fans, that time, was it Middlesbrough away, League One football, because as you know, Neil, Championship is a horrible league. It's a horrible league, and as you know, he did his job at Swansea, back-to-back playoffs as well. But in Championship it was hard. So
yeah, but there's a lot to be said about turning up at every game, knowing you've got a chance of winning the ball. In the Premier League, you never know. So I didn't mind the Championship so much, but this is
no.
This is the best league in the world, mate. This is incredible what we've all been experiencing in the last 37 games. Win, lose or draw, it's been the best experience. And as I said to you, in trying to answer Jay's question, incredibly proud, but really, really looking forward to what next year brings. And can we turn?
Can I add one more thing
into
to
50?
Could I want to add one more thing into it as well, because when listening back to his press conference, he spoke about losing, and he said that he's not lost a lot throughout his managerial career, which is true. But this year he's lost a lot more, and that has made him into what he's calling a proper manager. So, despite all the stress and everything that I'm sure has come with the losing in the Premier League, because no manager wants to lose, how much do you think this Premier League campaign will actually help him as a manager and as a professional going forward in his career?
Yeah, a huge amount. I think that he's learned from his losses in the past, as I've just described in his management history through England and Swansea, Jay. But I'm not breaching any confidence here. I mean, when I talk to Steve, I talk to him as his brother, and occasionally as a Forest fan. And because obviously, if I'm asking about injuries and what's next and who's playing that kind of stuff, it's a busman's holiday to him. So I try and be his brother rather than anything else. We talk about anything but, to be honest with you. And I hope he appreciates that, because obviously I care, because if he sees me celebrating in the director's box, he'll see exactly how much I do care and what I'll be like with you lot on Sunday. But no, I definitely think the losses this year and the fact there's been so many of them have just helped him grow, as I think they've helped the players grow. I think it's helped the whole position that we're in grow, to be honest with you, because we could have got a tiny bit carried away with the wins and the success of last year, and it was never going to be like that. And the fact that everybody recognised it, 99% of people recognised it, realised it, and we just stuck with the process of one game at a time, next man up, all that really boring stuff. But mate, that's the method, and it's worked.
Malcolm?
How stressful has this season been for your family, Neil?
So for me and Mum, it's been the worst ever. But after Dad had his brain injury last year, he's been great on the medication he's been on. No, it's been actually it's been great for Dad. Actually, Malcolm, when you say that, we as the guys know, we spent five weeks in hospital with him last summer. Nearly lost him, and when Steve says things like you'll never forget how you've got his backs and stuff, quite mean that just about the support every week. When he was going through a rough ride, and when there were certain people calling for his head and that kind of stuff, our focus in that hospital bed back in June, July last year was Newcastle away. That's what we kept talking to Dad about. Your son's going to be a Premier League manager. We got to be there. And when it wasn't about, we're obviously not going to get there, but we need to be at home in a comfy chair watching it. And so that's what we focused on. So as much as it being very stressful, we almost used it as an opportunity to get our dad right. And then when we did eventually get him to a point when he said, I think I'm ready to go to my first game. And I said, Dad, I'm not so sure, mate. I'm not sure it's time. I said, it's Liverpool at home. I said, I tell you what, the run they're on at the moment, they could beat us by 7. And he said, yeah, but we might win 1-0. I said, Christ, you have had a brain injury, Dad, if you think that's going to happen. And then lo and behold, we get that brilliant result. So the answer to your question, Malcolm, is it's been incredible. It's incredible. It's stressful. It's been really exciting, and we really trust him. We really trust his process and what he's doing and that kind of stuff. So we're just behind him no matter what. Win, lose or draw. So we've loved every minute of it, mate. Is the honest answer. And knowing that he's okay, because the club have got his back, and the fans have got his back, and the players are giving everything. Maybe except for Wolves away and Leeds away, but we'll talk about that again. That was a tough watch they were there, let me tell you.
Don't talk about Wolves. I think that's when we saw you, didn't we, Neil? Before the Wolves game, didn't we? A little competition as well.
I got stuck in the queue for the train on the way back, and a group of lads who obviously didn't know me were talking about just as long as we get more points than Derby. And
I was feeling exactly the same.
I'm giggling to myself, thinking, "You don't know what he's capable of, mate. We'll get out of this. It'll be okay." I wish I'd said something now.
The thing is, Neil, at no point in this season have the fans been against him.
No,
at all. And I think what that does is that's testimony to how he galvanised Nottingham Forest and Nottingham as a city, right from the minute he walked into the club from his first press conference. And we owe him so much. He's worked, as you know, I was really lucky. A few weeks ago, I got to meet him and have a chat with him. And it was just great because he's so down to earth. We went in the room and Forrest went, right, you can't ask him this, and this. And he comes in and goes, right, they've probably said you can't ask us any of this. He says, but ask me whatever you want. He says, no. So.
Well, I think his honesty and his transparency, Mark, is one of his biggest traits, his biggest attributes. I think I said that earlier. So apologies if I'm like a broken record, but it is that's the measure of him really, and I think that's why people take to him so much, because he's very inclusive when he talks to people as well, and I think that's why he gets the best out of the players as well. To be honest with you, because he's open and transparent with those guys as well, and that just builds belief then, doesn't it? I think But to go back to your point about the fans and their belief, that was tangible as well, mind. From where I sit in the crowd, from what I read on social media, there were occasions that you could feel people almost a little frustrated on occasions when we weren't getting as much percentage of the ball that people would like and that kind of stuff, and understandably so. But understanding a little bit about the game and the way Steve wants to play and the way he sets up when we do talk about football, sometimes letting them have the ball and making ourselves hard to beat and hitting on the break, which, has worked for us this year, is sometimes the only way that you can play it because it's a results-based business. And the records book will show that 37 points is enough. 40 will be even better. And it's worked, even if it was 18% possession against Arsenal the weekend, in the low 20s against other sides. I think you'll want to play a little bit more attractively, if that's the right word, as and when things start settle a little bit more, and that's to come. But he'll always do what's best in the interests of the team and try to stick to his principles as well.
There's 141 people watching. Thank you everyone for taking part, listening to myself, Neil, Jay, and Malcolm. If you can, I've got some questions for you, Neil. This is from Glenn, one of my members. How you doing, Glenn? Neil, were you a Forest fan before Steve signed or since? And if so, which game made you the fan you are today?
So this is going to sound really corny, this, right? But I'm a Liverpool fan. I think I said that to you the last time that I was on the show. But blood is thicker than water. So when that goal went in at the City ground, and when the 2 went in at Anfield, I was like a raving banshee, which sounds weird. But unless you've got a family member who's so emotionally invested in that, I don't think you actually understand that. And that's why when I talk about what we've done and that kind of stuff, I'm totally invested as a Forest fan. So I think the minute that he walked into the club, I think was the time that I became a Forest fan follower, one of you guys, because I wanted the best for the club that my brother was managing. The corny bit to it is that I'm born 74, so my dad, obviously football crazy, he would get me as a 6-7-year-old kid, and he'd tell me Forest are playing on Match of the Day tonight. He said, you've got to watch Brian Clough's team. So I actually think, as much as everybody says, oh, your dad's a Cardiff fan, because he played for Cardiff as a kid with John Toshak, and because he was a referee back in the day in Wales, and he did the ambassador role at Cardiff City. They also, he was a Cardiff fan, but my dad was a Forest fan. So it's so weird the way that this works out in football terms, because he would always say to me, and I think I just a kid in the 70s, a little bit of peer pressure. That's why I became a Liverpool fan, but I remember it clearly. If Brian Clough's team were playing, we were made to sit in the living room and watch the TV, watch the big match, or watch Match of the Day.
Jay?
I'm in awe. It's written in the stars, isn't it? It's just it's all coming together now. That's amazing. That is absolutely amazing. So talking of history then, I've noticed that Steve Cooper's taken a bit of a different approach to some of our previous managers in terms of how he embraces history and how he, wants the club to be rich in terms of how we celebrate our history and those that were part of it. So how important do you think it is, to be celebrating the likes of Brian Clough and to be having the murals around the ground of people like that to motivating this team to make a new history for this club?
It's not just the murals, Jay. It's the personalities. I think he was absolutely insistent that people like the Gary Birtles, Frank Clarks, etc., were part and parcel of the training ground, getting their kit back on, being part of the furniture again. And I think one of the most poignant things that he said and he never gives a lot away, obviously, but the most poignant thing he said was, got to be careful when you talk about achievement with this club. So when everybody says, what a fantastic achievement in staying up, this club has achieved some mega things over the years. So I think the history is a major part of what pushes them to get back to those kind of levels and win trophies like we did last year and be successful as we have this year.
What's been your best away day or best game you've witnessed? Like you mentioned when we beat Liverpool 1-0, but what's the best game you've witnessed as watching Forest this season?
There's so many. I think off the top of my head, I thought we were great against Brighton because we needed that as well. And I know they've just come off the back of the FA Cup game at that point, and we had to take advantage of that a little bit. But I just thought we were superb. I thought we were so composed, both defensively and then frightening on attacking wise. Exactly what I think Steve would want us to be in a team going forward. So I'm leaning towards Brighton. I think there, mate. But I honestly, I've enjoyed every game. No, that's a lie.
I was going to say that can't be true.
That can't be true.
Bournemouth and Fulham at home and Wolves and Leeds away. But I think if you go back to what Malcolm asked me earlier about looking forward, I think those 5 games the extra 5 games or 6 games or whatever, the extra games we win next year, I think we can probably see where they are. Everton away, Fulham at home, Bournemouth at home, Wolves away, Leeds away. I just think there's another 18 to 20 points that's there for us. I actually thought we were unlucky with the Spurs game at home. It's just because
Yes,
Harry Kane was there. I thought it was quite a level game, that, to be fair. That's when I thought we can operate at this level. I really felt at that point, honeymoon period kind of stuff being in the Premier League was over at that point, and I really felt that at that point we can compete. So yeah. But if you asked me to single it out, I just thought Brighton was the game that said to me, we'll stay up here.
What about yours, Malcolm? What's been your best game? We've been around the country. What's yours, Malcolm?
Best game, probably not best performance, but it meant the most, was Villa at home, the 1-1 draw, because we needed that result, and Steve really changed it that night, and we played. I won't say dirty, but we didn't play dirty. It was just not very nice to watch, but we got a job done, and that stopped the rot, and then things started to turn around from there. But for me, the big turning point over the last few weeks is Liverpool away. I saw you before the game, Neil, outside, and your words were massive. It's massive today, and it was like I really thought we were going to get thumped, and then to be in with a shout. Yes, we only had 19% possession or whatever it was, but we scored 2 goals at Anfield, and that was incredible. And I don't think they were that much better than us. And like you've said, Neil, there's at least 5 more games that we can win next season. If you think about the games that we've thrown away, Brentford away, as a prime example, Bournemouth at home, Brentford at home, when VAR came out and said it wasn't a penalty, we had a 1-2-1. All of a sudden you think, it's very fine margins in this league. So what can we do next season? And I think as well, Steve's now got, I think he knows what his best side is now. I think this side that he's got now is virtually his best side. And, if we can bring 1 or 2 additions in of real quality, I'm really looking forward to seeing who comes in the summer, because I think if we can get another sign-in of the stature of Morgan Gibbs-White, then I think we can do mid-table next season.
I'll take that. Neil, what player have you been excited to see? As you know, we've brought in 100 players in, but what one player stand out for you?
The one player I was pleased to see back in the last few games was Ryan Yates. I just felt that. I just felt he was a bit of the missing link around what we needed to get across the line in some games. A little bit of that desire. I think Wolves and Leeds would have been different outcomes had he been there fully fit. Because I think he's what we needed at that point. So I absolutely adore Ryan Yates and what he's about from his core out to win and what he does for the club. I love Nico Williams, right? The kid's so unlucky. I think just you look at these players, right, who go to these clubs and need a while to settle in, and we haven't had any of that luxury. You look at Jack Grealish. Look how long it's taken him to get into that kind of mold on Man City side. Morgan's hit the floor running. He's had a bit of Premier League experience before. Brennan, incredible how he stepped up and scored that many goals. To be fair to him, but I just felt I feel Nico's really one for the future. And just when he started to get a little bit into his stride, he gets his jaw fractured when he should have scored, and then he's out of the side for a bit. But yeah, the answer to the question is Ryan for me. I would give a special much shout out to Joe Worrell as well. I tell you what, as captain of the club, right, he's only had to mark Haaland and Gabriel Jesus and Harry Kane and Antonio. So it's been easy for him, isn't it, really? Do you know what I mean? And
way too
every
easy.
Time, no matter what you need, mate, every time.
That tackle against Sterling the other week, Neil, that's kept us up.
Will you play right back, Joe? Yes. Will you play in a back 5? Yes. Will you play in a back 4? Yes. Will you celebrate the goals from the side of the pitch when you're not playing like you've scored them yourself? Yes, boss. Just what an attitude. That's epitomises those two lads. They epitomise what I think Forest are about for me. They've been brilliant. But I think everybody's pulled their weight. I think, to be fair, I think that collective group for the spirit that they've got. I think they've all spoken about it in the interviews that they've given post games. I think it's a collective go back. I couldn't really ever go with anybody. I've seen people on social media saying we need to let this one go and that one go. I just think it's remarkable what the team have achieved. They've done something this year that no club have ever done. 30 plus signings, brought those people together, managed to gel, managed to find now, Malcolm, in the last 4 or 5 games of the season what the best team is, and still managed to finish 17th, 16th, 15th in the league. Remarkable. Huge sense of achievement for every player.
Jay?
I was going to ask, because Colback's contract is expiring, so I want to ask about his time with Steve Cooper, because you were talking about players that kind of just get the job done and do what they're told to do. So how important do you think Jack Colback has been for Steve Cooper, just because he is that, from what we can see, that player that just goes on and just does what he says, and obviously been a bit unlucky with fitness recently, but, you know, he's been important, Steve Cooper, in these last, 1.5 years? Yeah,
and not just what he contributes on the pitch by giving his all, Jay. I think it's been about his professionalism in the back room as well, and in the dressing room. You know, let's not forget this guy had a career in the Premier League with Newcastle as well. He knows his stuff. He's been in that environment. I understand he was incredibly professional with Steve at the end of the playoff final and saying, you know, whatever you need me to do, and then comes through and does exactly that. I think, Ben, actually, last time we spoke, you asked about similar sort of question to what Malcolm said. You asked about players from last year in the Championship, and I mentioned Jack. Then because again, like Joe, do us a favour, Jack. Play left back for a quarter of the season, will you? You know, and play out your skin and be one of the best players in the park in week in, week out, and that's what he does. But I think that's reflective of everybody. I think I don't see anybody hiding or not giving their all or not having a go, to be honest with you. And I think that's part of the collective group.
There's 171 people in. If you've got any questions for the man himself, Neil Cooper, Steve Cooper's brother, please do. Mark, any questions for Neil?
Who are we signing in the summer, Neil?
Hey, Ben, I'm going to say who I want. I want Gustavo Hamer from Coventry. That's what I'm saying.
Shut up. No, we don't want him.
Got my shopping list.
You got your shopping list. Who
would you like to see come up from the Championship this season?
Ooh.
What team would I like to see come up from?
Yeah, Luton or Coventry.
Who's got the best ground?
Who had the best food at the away ground? I think.
No, for the experience. That.
You know what, Neil? I think it should be Luton. I think it should be Luton because, as you know, people, me and Neil met at Luton away the first time. If people know to know, Luton away vlog. So I like Luton away. People might disagree, but what would you prefer, Neil?
Yeah, Luton's like stepping into 1988 when you step into the ground. There, it's a weird one. But the people were brilliant there. They were. As I say, we met Cerys Matthews, who's obviously a Welsh girl who has got a son that was born in London. He had Luton Town shorts and top on with a Swansea shirt when I was there with Swansea. So yeah, I'd say Luton, but I tell you what, it's a bloody hard place to go and win a football match. But I think that time we met, you asked me for a prediction. I said it's really tough here. Yeah. I reckon we'll win 1-0 and it'll be Sturridge late off the bench, and we can beat 1-0. So yeah, I don't think I've done many predictions. I did actually shout to you through the car, Man City at the City Ground, didn't I?
You did, right, people. Before the Man City game, Neil came through the car with Alex and his friends, and he said to me, "Forest would draw 1-1." And what did I say to you? I'm not going to repeat what I said to him.
Yeah, you can't. There's kids and those 141 people that are watching. So you can't repeat it.
Well, there's 176 people now. I'm not going to repeat what I said, but I said to him, "There's no chance. There's not a chance." And Neil was so confident it'll be 1-1. And when we draw 1-1, Neil texted me, "I told you so." I'm like, "Okay, Neil. You got whatever you want." He was right for a change. But yeah, still, I don't know.
Yeah, Luton, I think is the answer to the question. I think Luton can be good. Be good for them as well, I think.
Oh yeah, Luton. Their story.
Good people there, from what I remember.
Malcolm, any questions for Neil?
Well, apart from a Luton coming up, what are you looking forward to next season, Neil?
Tottenham Hotspur.
I think going to Tottenham Hotspur. Honestly, and I'm not trying to duck out the question. I think everything, and I'm building on everything that we've achieved this year. I think, again, unprecedented what's been achieved by everybody, and the opportunity to now go knowing what to expect, with a more settled squad, knowing what to expect, with hopefully less injuries, knowing what to expect. I'm just really excited to think of where we can take it. I really hope we can do like a Brentford and come up and be really solid in the Premier League, be a real, competitive team. I think we've got what Brentford got. I think Jamie Carragher spoke about this on Monday night when he said we've got the City ground. We've got the best fans in world football, so we have got an advantage to actually bring to that next year. That place will be a fortress as it was this year. We learned from some of the mistakes of when we did lose a couple of games at home last year. So I'm really excited to see where the whole journey will take us. There's no one ground, there's no one game. There's just. Going back to that, I did enjoy the Leicester game. I've got to be honest. If you don't know my favourite game as well.
It's just unfortunately you're not going to be able to go back next season.
Yeah. Do you know what? This is a weird one. Last night last night was the game. I watched the game last night. I'm thinking Newcastle get beat here. Liverpool could still get fourth.
That's right.
And I still couldn't think about that. I just thought I don't care. I think I said to Steve, "What are you doing for Sunday? All the games on Sunday, Monday." He said, "What games?" Even he switched off from a Monday and thought, "We've done our bit. I'm just focused on Palace, mate. That'll do me."
I've got one more question then.
Wait, JJ, 1 minute. I've got to answer to Neil, and this is one that you love, Neil. It's a two-part question. This is one telling me up. We all turned and asked him if OS. He said if it's off. We all will go to the ex-ref. In the silence of follower, he said it's always wrong, mine, but it's off. So this is the second part. Then when VR came through, it was a goal. We went mental, and Steve and Neil's dad shouted, "I told you it was wrong." And made it win while he was hooking. Talk to me about that one.
Is that one of the lads that sits in front of us in the director's box? Yeah. They always turn whenever there's a decision that's questionable. They always turn on to Dad like, "Come on, what do you think about that?" Dad, and he says, "Oh, I've been wrong many times before, mind." He said, but that's an interesting one. What do you guys think of VAR? Are you for, against? What's your views on it?
Go on, Mark.
I don't like it. I don't like it. I think what it does is it gives the referees an out all the time. And the stupid linesman thing where they can't put the flag up until the end of the phase of play.
Yeah.
For the striker, somebody's going to get seriously hurt one day through that. It's just VAR overall. If they can't make a decision in 20 seconds, then it's not clear and obvious. When they have to start drawing lines on pitches and looking at it from different angles, and it's 3-4 minutes, that's not clear and obvious. So they need to do something different. I think a lot of the Premier League officials hide behind it. And I think yes, we have had a couple go in our favour this season. Brennan Johnson at home. Leicester, happy birthday, Brennan, by the way.
Oh, happy birthday, Brennan.
Yeah.
Happy birthday.
Yeah. I know we've had a couple go in our favour, but, I think we've had more go against us. And, I'm not a fan. Let the human make the mistake, but make the mistake in real time. Because I remember when they're first talking about bringing VAR in 8-9 years ago, they were saying it'll be just like rugby league. It'll be like rugby. It'll be like the NFL. People will know what's happening. The referees will talk. The officials will talk to people, tell them what's happening. We have no clue. We score a goal. Do we celebrate? Don't we celebrate? What do we do?
Mark, I'm not having that. We go nuts.
Of course we do. Of course we do.
Brilliant.
But
brilliant.
It's no. I'm not a fan. I personally, I don't like it. I think it's there, controversially. I think it's there to protect the top six.
Jay?
I don't know if I can be as controversial as Malcolm. You know what I mean? But I think that with any machinery, there's always going to be human error. So there's always going to be errors with VAR. And while we do say that VAR, has had that top six bias and everything, Brighton, they could have had a potentially gotten away with a handball. That Lewis Dunk one, they could have gotten away with that. And I would, even though we were already winning, I would have been fuming if they got away with that. So, there's bad sides and there is good sides to it. I just think there needs to be more transparency involved with the whole operation for me, and referees do need to be better trained on it, because it's all right, Howard Webb coming out every week and saying I've been a ref and I've done this, but how much experience have you got with VAR? It's a relatively new thing, so it's new. It's hopefully going to become more efficient in the future, but at the moment there needs to be more transparency while it's still a fairly new thing. So yeah, I'm kind of 50-50 on it, to be honest.
I think it was really well used in the World Cup. Really well used, because there's not so much interference, and the decisions were made quickly. And I think that's where it pays off. It's the fact it slows down the game, and you don't know what's happening. That's not great.
People in the comments, what do you think about the VAR? I can see quite a lot of questions. Some people agree, disagree. Me personally, I was watching, who was it? That guy was on Sky Sports on
Dermot Gallagher.
He was trying to explain to it about it. And that
Arsenal was he saying Arsenal penalty?
He said it was an Arsenal penalty. I think it wasn't a penalty, it was more of a free kick.
He was looking for it all game. Jesus was looking for it all game, and Anthony Taylor made the right decision to give him a yellow. Referees have got to book players for simulation more often. You just don't see it enough in the Prem. You've got to be harsher on players because they're doing it all the time. It's ridiculous.
And dissent, I'd add to that, Jay, as well. Simulation and dissent, I think, are the two things. They really wind me up, I think.
Here's a comment for you. Do you think it's time to have two referees on the pitch?
Ooh. What?
What's the point of a fourth official?
People in the comments, what do you think about that? That is a good question.
The point of a fourth official is so you can stop Tatey fighting with the rest of the...
Oh, yeah. That's about right, yeah. It's just for the Wolves Forest games, I'm pretty sure. Just for Wolves v Forest. That's the only time they're in use.
Yeah, I think it was what game was it? It was Bartman, and obviously his Tate was going, man, I thought, bloody hell, he's having a Swansea moment into it, because I remember he got he was angry. I think he got banned, didn't he, for 4 or 5 games.
Just see his face go bright red, and he just goes crazy. See those eyes.
There's another guy that's really stepped up as well, mind.
Yeah, he has.
Not been at this level and that kind of stuff. Obviously got a lot of respect from the players and other staff around him there, but been magnificent and a huge support to Steve as well. Talk about a real confidant and a partner in crime and a guy you can really rely on, and has got the club right burnt in his heart as well now, because he loves the place as well.
I'm only here for Malcolm. Why is he always coming and say, I'm only here for Malcolm? Get a grip of yourself. I'm only joking. There's 166 people in. If you can do a massive favour, please do hit the like button if you can. Neil, like I said, it's been a long season, and we are safe. What as a, like, I'm not saying about Steve, it's about you. What game was you really disappointed by? Because like we mentioned, games like Brentford away, I'm never angry. I was really angry with that game. What game were you like? Oh, Steve, was you more disappointed that you didn't win?
I think frustrated was the Brentford game, the most recent Brentford game. But the one that I think that we looked off it, and I know you can have off days and that kind of stuff, but Leeds away was the one I was really, because I think at that point, I think people were talking about Steve's future more than anything at that point. Yeah. Dad wasn't well enough to go, and I said, "There's no way I'm missing this, because if this is going to be, it was a possibility that could have been the last time that I'd ever been to see Forest play with my brother as manager, with all the talk that was going on at that point." So I went there, and I really thought that off the back of everything that had been said that week, that there'd have been a performance in us, and for whatever reason we just couldn't get going. So great props really to sort of get over that quickly. So I think that's the one I would probably look back on and think. But as in answering Malcolm's question earlier, that's one of the games that no doubt we will do better in. We will do better in next year if they're still in the league. That is obviously, because they're struggling as well. Of them.
Jay,
I was keen to ask actually. Obviously, there's one game left, and he's going to have a little bit of time off, I hope. How does a Premier League manager, rest during that time? Because surely that the thoughts of next season, maybe elements of excitement and also stress, they just kind of never go away. So how does he rest
He
during
goes,
that time.
he goes to Greece and gets Marinakis' pool.
Oh yeah, with the Celtic manager. That's awesome, by the way. That was cool. That was
To be honest with you, mate, I think after this year, quite rightly, he's exhausted and needs a bit of a break. So once we get through Sunday afternoon, it'll be about family for Steve. That's where he's at. And he won't mind me saying he's got a fabulous wife, 2 wonderful kids, an amazing brother. No, seriously, and it'll be about family. He's a sociable guy and that kind of stuff, but nothing means more to Steve than spending time with his family. And I know while there was a little bit of celebration and stuff on Saturday night, when we eventually spoke at 10:30, he was in the car on the way home with his wife and his lad, because that's what he wanted to be. And having sharing it with them.
Yeah, Neil. There was an article I read today about Steve said before the Arsenal game. He mentioned about the players' family as well, and I thought, wow. And he always talks about family, and it's good to hear from him. And what's he make? What's he like motivation wise? Because I mean, the game. I think what game was it? The playoff final. He was in the dressing room and speak about family. He loves that word family, don't he? Just talks about it all the time.
Yeah, I think in the dressing room at Wembley, wasn't it? Last year there was the sort of the famous two things comment. You know, the second one was obviously welcome to the Premier League, but the first one about making sure you make time for your family that night because nobody would be more proud of you than them. So it rings true, you know, because as a family member of somebody who's in the public eye, who gets a huge amount of abuse on social media, but also a huge amount of love from people like yourselves and the rest of the 39,500, 29,500 that turn up at the City Ground at home games, the 4,000 that travel strong to every away game, and everybody else across the world that loves him to death. I think it's that kind of family environment that keeps everything together. So I think he practices that at home as he does in his work-life balance as well.
You know what? I don't know how to answer this question, Neil. Like, me and Malcolm went to the game and stuff as well. The Leicester game, we lost 4-0. Me and Malcolm, we thought Steve was gone. I'm not gonna lie, we thought he was gone. And we got in the car, and Steve said, the way Steve spoke, he was so confident he was staying. And I looked at Malcolm. Malcolm told me, Ben, he's not going. And did you go to Leicester away game? You know?
Yeah.
What like I was so like happy because all the Forest fans we lost 4-0, but we were still singing the song about Steve. And like I said, if you don't answer it, but it just felt everyone loves this guy.
It's incredible, Ben. I think I said it to you last year. I'm very, very fortunate. I find myself very fortunate I've got my brother doing the job that he's doing now and the jobs he's done in the past, the places I get to go, the people I get to meet, the games I get to see. But I have sort of done it in a previous life with Dad as well, watching him referee, you know. So I've been to a huge amount of games. Really, really fortunate. I can't stress that enough. You know, United, City, Liverpool, Arsenal, Wembley Cup finals. I've been there with Dad. But as I said to you last year, and it's got even more powerful this year, I have never witnessed anything like the City Ground. I've never seen a connection between a manager and fans, a team and fans, a backroom staff and fans, and whether it's 5-0 down away at City, or whether it's 5-1 down away at Arsenal, or whether it's 4-0 down at Leicester, or whether it's 1-1 and we need you, and he turns around and gives you the fist pump, and everybody goes, right, come on. You know, I've never seen anything like it, mate. And I think there's even people who've been, you know, there's even players who are saying now, we go to the City, we can't believe it. From the minute he walks out, everybody to a man and woman and child get on their feet and clap him. Irrelevant of what happened in the previous 90 minutes. Everybody gets up with a scarf over their head and sings Mull McIntyre at the top of their voices. They must be petrifying for any away player, by the way, coming in and seeing that. Must really get in their head straight away. And then you can't get a word in edgeways. And even when we go away, I can't remember hearing an Arsenal song on the weekend.
No,
I can't remember it.
Can't remember it.
It was us all the way through, and it's been like that away grounds as well. The amount of people on social media after the Man City game who said by far the best group of fans we've ever had. They've, with the greatest deal of respect, they've murdered us that night. Rodri was like on another planet. He's outside of the foot passing, that kind of stuff. He was ridiculous, and it just didn't stop for 96 minutes. It was brilliant to be a part of. As difficult as it is to watch and take the result, it was brilliant to be a part of. It's just incredible. I will say it again. I've not witnessed anything like that City ground or the away fans going away. But the City ground especially, it's the corny stuff. It's the 12th man. It's all this kind of stuff. It's different, mate. It's different to anything I've ever seen.
I think what's different this season, we've always had a really loud vocal away support. Always.
Oh.
I think what's different this season with the home support is taking those 1,500 seats or so away from Lower Bridgeford, and then those people who made all that noise down there having to dissipate within the other stands. And we've noticed before that you can be in Trenton and you can be trying to sing, and people are not confident in it, And I think what's happened is those 1,500 fans or so that have had to go elsewhere in the stands, just get everybody up and get them for it, and then everybody gets to understand what the atmosphere is about and feel it. You feel it to your core. There's nothing like it. It's just absolutely incredible, and that must be amazing if you're a player. Absolutely amazing.
And a manager, he doesn't take that for granted, Malcolm. I promise you that.
No.
And you'll know he'll never miss that. The MOK bit at the beginning of the game. He will go and get his bottle of water. He does. He'll come up and he'll wave to family members, and then he'll make sure he's front and centre with you when that goes off. Because it's part of tradition, it's part of history, but it's part of us at the moment. It is part of what makes that ground so special. That beginning of the game is phenomenal.
He said when I was chatting with him the other week, he said he's talking about other clubs, and he said, but they haven't got 2 European Cups, and they haven't got the River Trent, and they haven't got the City Ground, and they ain't got Mull Kintyre, and they ain't got the history we've got, and they ain't got the fans we've got. So, he totally gets it.
Yeah, and I haven't got to say this to back him up. He absolutely means it as well. I promise you, he means it. He's not saying that for effect. He's not saying to keep you guys on side or the fans on side for when he needs him at his lowest point. He absolutely means that. It's incredible atmosphere.
Jake, any questions for Neil?
What was it like the first moments Steve Cooper came to Forest? Because it's obviously it's
tell us, Neil. Tell us
because we've heard a lot about not the end bits, but the most recent parts of his career at Forest. What about those first bits? Because if I'm being honest, I actually never thought that Steve Cooper would be the manager of Forest. I didn't know who Steve Cooper was before this. So tell us a little bit more about.
I knew who he was because, like I said, I shout out to the Swansea fans. They were annoying me before them. Yeah, and it was annoying me. You know who you are, Reese. Talk us. What was it like when you heard he was coming to Forest?
So I knew he didn't tell me, and he was telling me he was going out for dinner with Carlo Ancelotti. Would you believe? Right, in Madrid, he'd gone out there to watch a game, and they were having dinner the following day. And I believe, as the story goes, I believe that it was that time his agent took a call and said they were interested. So I saw one picture of him in Madrid with a big bull behind him. And then the following day, there was another picture of him and he had the Acropolis behind him. I thought, hang on, that's in Greece. And I thought, right, okay. And it was at that point, I sent him a message with a tree and a Greece flag. And I said, where are we going, Gaffer? And he came back to me a couple of days later and he said, along the lines of, I'm about to sign for one of the biggest clubs in world football, and we're there with a huge European history. So no real pressure. Oh, by the way, we're bottom, and we got to get going. My God, didn't we get going? So and I say, and I go back to that when Jay asked me earlier that really corny story about. I firmly believe that Dad followed Forest back in the 70s and 80s. So it was almost like a bit of a sort of 360 then of almost coming home, I suppose, a little bit. But it's funny how football works like that, I think, with those kind of stories as well. And I say that's a true story of Dad's sentiment towards the club. And he had a huge history with Nottingham Forest. Some of the best after dinner stories he talks about involve Brian Clough and Stuart Pearce, and obviously refereeing the historic Liverpool Nottingham Forest game after Hillsborough. Dad refereed that and stuff as well. So the family's got a bit of history with Nottingham Forest as well. So yeah, when we knew that he was coming to manage a club of that stature, having had such a wonderful time, 35 minutes down the road from my front door at Swansea, to have to come 2 hours and 35 up to Nottingham was wonderful.
That's actually amazing. I can't even, just the links in the family to Forest is just brilliant. Brilliant.
We've got another 5 minutes to go. People, if you've got any questions to ask Neil about Steve Cooper or Neil himself, please do. We've got another 5 minutes. What's your proudest moment of Steve since he's been Forest manager? Like I said, he's had moments going up for get Forest promoted, got us in Premier League. There's
Wembley, I think, Ben. The last time I've spoken to you twice on your show. I know we've spoken a couple of times outside the stadiums and that, but
yeah,
the time that we were 4 days, I think, from the final at Wembley, the Huddersfield game, and I couldn't listen to the show anymore. I had to go out and take the dogs for a walk because it was so excited, and to see you guys and the way you were and how much anticipation there was and that kind of stuff, and then eventually to go there, experience it, and get across there on that day. That'll live me through. I got the videos on my phone of the team. The one of the best bits, I think, was when the final whistle went and the Huddersfield fans started to dissipate out of their afternoon. All these red shirts started appearing and coming towards our half of the stadium. I thought that was brilliant. Yeah, but I think it'll go a lot to beat that, I think. And there's no reason why, we can't have a decent cup run next year and maybe we can go back.
Yeah, I need another Wembley trip. Steve, if you're watching, can you send us to Wembley again? Because that was my first time I went to Wembley. And I said, Neil, I'm not going to Wembley till Forest get there. And your brother did. He made me go Wembley for the first time, and I want to go back.
Look how successful we are in the cups, though. Over the last 2 years, how well we've done.
Season.
Absolutely, Jay. Yeah.
How well we've done. When have ever Forest really ever done that? Because all I can remember in the past is, Chelsea, or an Arsenal game, or as now it's like we're actually serious in these cups, and people think we'll just jump out the cup and we'll focus on the league. No, we're going to go for everything. I love that. I just love that approach to it. It's just brilliant.
We've got a question. I think this is Steve Brown from the Wales. Question for Neil. What's been your favourite goal this season?
I think probably...
You can say it. Just say Forest beat Liverpool 1-0. Just say it.
No, I did enjoy that. I love Brennan going around the keeper. Leicester.
I love that as well. Yeah.
I know he's a bit fortunate, but Tayo's goal Saturday was the Arsenal goal was a bit special as well.
That was
good move that. But I think what was the one where we had the interplay between Gibbs White and Felipe, and I think it finished with Brennan on the right hand side. I think that little interplay that they had on the edge of the box. What game was that, Ben? Mark, do you remember? There was a lovely bit of interplay in between them.
Was the Man City one?
No, that was not Man City. Was it the first half?
I think so. Yeah, kicking away from your end. Yeah, and there was a fabulous bit of interplay between Felipe and Morgan, and then
was it Wolves
to get out to Brennan?
I'm sure it was Wolves.
I can't remember.
People in the comments, can you know what it is? I'm sure it was. It was definitely Wolves. I'm sure it was Wolves. Brennan's got quite good goals in the first half. Wolves, or not definitely. It wasn't Everton. Was it Everton?
Brennan's goal against Leeds was a bit special.
That was special.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah,
that was special.
Yeah.
The Leeds fan.
The goal against Brighton, the interplay.
Leicester. It was Leicester game.
It was Leicester, was it?
It was Leicester game.
Yeah, that's the one we were around the keeper. That one, wasn't it? Yeah, when he was offside and he was on. And I enjoyed the Man City equaliser as well. I think, especially when say VAR got involved in that, didn't they? And then I think Steve even said to everybody else, get back, it's offside. Another look.
I see, yeah, I see that. Mate. Get back, move boy.
Before anybody else did, he'd just gone off on a Mourinho, and he'd gone down the side, shouting and screaming. So yeah, that was pretty good as well. So many good memories, lads. I mean, we're almost at the end of this. You couldn't capture them all on an hour-long show. There's just been so many fabulous moments this year, and I really think that we can go on again next year and create not just many more, but more than what we have this year, by way of results and good times, to be honest with you.
Right, we've got one more question before we do go. This is from Callum. Question for Neil and everyone else. Well, everyone else. People in the comments will get involved. Which game was the best atmosphere from Forest, home or away?
Home and away.
Home and away. Yeah. Neil or anyone? Well, wait. Yeah, Neil, you go first.
I'll be really controversial for the away game, right? Man City. It was phenomenal. I've never, he didn't stop. 1-0 down, 2-0 down, 3-0 down. It did not stop. That was, I don't know what you'd call it, inspirational. A united group of people. I don't know what you call it. I don't know what you call that. It was special, that for me. That really cemented the fact that we were all in this together. Nobody. I think at that point I realised nobody's giving up on this year because we're really gonna have a go at this. We're all gonna be together. So I would say City away is probably the best I've seen. Best away crowd ever. I think that's got to go down as it was unbelievable.
Malk?
I think for 80 minutes, Brentford away. No, I'm joking.
No, it was good. It was good.
It was good.
It was good.
Even Omar Richards was singing in the crowd.
Yeah, I bet he didn't stand up though.
No. Anfield away was incredible. That away end was brilliant. And Nico scoring that goal was incredible. Home, the atmosphere on Saturday. I've never experienced anything like that at City Ground. And I've been going to City Ground for 43 years this year. And I've never experienced anything like that. Right from the first minute to the last. That was incredible. I'll tell you a little story, just quickly. I came out at the end of the game. I was an emotional wreck. Just
as always.
Mentally exhausted. I sat outside the Tesla garage on the wall with my head in my hands. David Johnson walked up to me and went, "Are you all right, Malk?" I said, "Yeah." He went, "That was horrible, wasn't it?" I went, "It was awful." My missus, she was sat with you in Trenton, Ben. She came down the road. She went, "Yes, we're safe." And I went, "Are we?" Just had not realised. I was caught up in all the emotion of the day. I hadn't actually realised we were safe. I'd assumed that because Everton had got a point, we needed a point on Sunday. But yeah, that whole atmosphere on Saturday was intense, incredible.
Last but not least, Jay.
Yeah, I think Leicester away. Leicester away was definitely my away ones because that was just amazing. I've never actually heard people singing for that long, just continuously the same song, everything. That show of unity, no matter what, amazing. So that's my away one, Leicester. Home, I'm going to agree with Malcolm. I think that it's always tough to kind of to judge because all of our home atmospheres are brilliant. But I was looking at my co-commentator on the day. I literally couldn't hear what they were saying. Could not hear we had to stop because we had to let people listen to what was going on inside the ground because it was that loud. I genuinely could not hear them no matter what I did. So yeah, Arsenal at home when we won, amazing.
I'll say mine before we go. Even if we lost 4-0 to Leicester, I thought that atmosphere was amazing. The atmosphere was actually amazing. And as well, Neil, singing Steve Cooper's name, even if we did lose, and I felt battered and bruised after that because Leicester they're not our rivals as they think they are. But yeah, I'll say Leicester, but the home one gotta be Arsenal. Arsenal at home, the atmosphere was something that I will never forget. Right, Neil, it's been a pleasure. Thank you very much
thank you, Ben, for inviting me on. It's lovely talking to you three lads, and
thank you,
really enjoy what you do. Keep doing it, lads. Because me and Alex, we do tune in. Steve's son, we do tune in and listen to these things as well. So keep the good work up, lads. Because it's great.
Yeah, legend. Like I said, and say hello to your dad for me as well and the family.
Will do, mate.
And it's been a pleasure. People, make sure everyone. Cause, you know what? I'm not going to say about you, Mark, because I've had enough of your face all week as well. So go in.
Ben, just quickly before we go, Neil's already talked about how important family is. A lot of people know I lost my dad 3 weeks ago.
Yeah.
And before the game on Saturday, my Forest family gave me a card, and it was incredible. I never actually realised how many people, care so much for other Forest fans. So thank you to everybody, and thank you to everybody who's reached out to me on messages on social media. Forest fans, I've had hundreds of them. So I'd like to thank everybody because it's massive.
Yeah.
We all love
Well
you, Mal. We all love you, Mal. Come on.
Well done. And as well, you know what? And before we do this, like Malcolm, I do some work for BBC Sport, and Malcolm's helped me a lot as well with that. So I've got to say a little praise for Malcolm for helping me a lot with BBC Sport work as well. So Malcolm, I do appreciate that, and I clear off. I've had enough for you, Malcolm. Well, I've had enough. Well enough. But yeah, it's been a pleasure, people. Like I say, thank you, Neil. Thank you, Jay. Thank you, Malcolm, for coming on the show. People, we can rest. We can relax. We're going to Crystal Palace for last game. Am I dressing up, Malcolm?
Full kit, door.
I'm not dressing up the full kit.
You've got to. No, Door. Come on.
It's
I know what he's on about. Come on, Door. You've got to do it.
I will. I said. I will do it. I'll do it. I'm not gonna, I still say I will. I am going to do it. So I am going to dress up as a Robin Hood. So if you did see me do it, so I am going to dress up. I will dress up. But yeah, it's been a pleasure, people. Like I said, thank you. Like I said, for Neil, Malcolm, and Jay. I'll be back on Friday for Crystal Palace preview show. Please get in there. And if you like, people, if you are new to the channel, please do hit the like button. Subscribe if you're new. People, we are safe. We are safe in the Premier League. I can't believe I'm saying that. Thank you for watching, people. Peace and love. Up the forest.
You ready?